Hi everybody and welcome to another piano review here at Merriam Pianos. Today we're going to be looking at Roland's digital baby grand piano, the GP607. We've got one here in a lovely white polish. It's the first chance we've had to really get under the hood, explore this instrument, give it a bit of playing, and share it with you. If it's the first time to the channel, we would really appreciate if you did hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you will know every single time we come out with a new video. And thank you in advance for joining us here on the channel. So without further ado, let's get started with the GP607 right away. This is Roland's GP607. It is a slightly smaller version of their GP609, and these are the two grand pianos that Roland currently offers to the marketplace in the year 2020, and we're in front of a lovely example in white polish. The GP607 and the GP609 both more or less have very similar guts or very similar tone generator to what you're going to find in the DP603. In fact, it's the same action as well. And so what you wind up getting that goes above and beyond the DP603 is an extremely well-balanced and very nicely put together cabinet and speaker and amplifier system that goes into a very different league of amplification quality and size versus what you get on the DP603. So on the GP607, which really presents its audio in a very commanding, very powerful way. I was just really quite surprised how they've got this balanced and the power and the punchiness of the output. You've got 5 speaker cones that is pushing a total of 45 watts. So there's a single 20-watt amplifier that's driving kind of a subwoofery type of thing that really just points down. Of course, the lower the frequency, the less directional it has to be. And then we've got another 20-watt stereo amplifier, which is driving the main upward-facing speakers. It's really going to be the majority of the defined mid-range tone that we hear. And then there's a pair of tweeters that's being driven by another discrete stereo 5-watt amplifier. And it's really just kind of having a nice, some of those nice frequencies emanating out of some of these portholes at the front and kind of just generally in a pretty ambient way coming out of the front of the piano. So there's no real tweeter port, so to speak, but there are lots of opportunities for those higher frequencies to get out. And I really like how Roland has balanced, like I said, this amplifier and speaker system. However they're doing their signal processing, the crossovers, what frequencies are being sent in what proportion to what speaker is beautifully done. In some ways, I think it's as nicely balanced, if not even in some ways more nicely balanced than what I get out of the 609. But has a lot to do with the space that it's in as well. So certainly it's on par with the balance and with the overall fullness of the sound that you get out of the 609. What you don't get in the 607, I know we're in a sound section here, but of course, cabinet-wise, we're talking about a mini grand, and so just a lot shorter. The other thing you miss out on is that you have a much smaller kind of passive resonating surface on the 607 versus that of the 609, but nonetheless you still get quite a bit of natural kind of passive ambient sound coming off of that soundboard area. So what are we talking about when we are talking about this sort of DP603 brain inside a GP607? Well, a whole ton of voices and a whole ton of polyphony, and when we're in piano mode, we're talking about limitless polyphony because we are in modeling. This really uses the V-piano technology that Roland pioneered quite a few years ago, but still is getting a lot of mileage out of. And so when we are on concert piano, what we're able to access is literally an active computer model of the sound that's being generated. So this is very similar to a plugin made for DAW software called Pianotech. And really this is kind of like the physical version of the same type of solution that Pianotech offers, which is we're not talking about sample-based playback. We are talking about a computer model of a piano, an acoustic piano, and how that generates tone. And it's simulating that every single time we hit the key to create what our ear thinks of as piano tone. And it is quite a lovely tone. Tons of detail around those notes. Lots of upper harmonics there. Now, like any computer model, if you were thinking to yourself, wow, I bet that gives me lots of control and lots of options, you'd be correct. So the Roland Piano Designer gives you the same type of control as what Kawai does with their virtual technician. All kinds of parameters that you can adjust, and they've got both presets as well as the micro level of detail that you can get into in terms of string resonance, damper resonance, how high the lid is, how much resonance you're getting off the body of the piano, the voicing of the hammer, the touch curve. I mean, there are, I think, close to 20 parameters that are editable within that computer model, so you can really kind of get, achieve, and then save your ideal grand piano. And unlike any other Roland piano where you have that option, you're actually in front of something that looks like a grand piano, which is kind of cool. Now you can access the Piano Designer both from the on-screen menu, which works pretty well. I mean, it's small, but they've made very efficient use of this LCD screen. But you can also access it from a mobile device like a smartphone or a tablet. And I'd recommend doing that because it's just more fun. You've got more real estate. They've put some nice kind of effort behind the graphics on the user interface for those applications. So I'd suggest it. There's really two apps that you want to get anytime you're using a Roland product like this. One is the Piano Designer. The other one is the Piano Partner 2 app, because that's what gives you access to really easy to use auto accompaniment rhythms. You can get access to all of the 300 plus sounds that are on there, but you can also get access to play along like classical music scores and all sorts of other learning add-ons, we'll call them, that are baked in here and make playing the instrument that much more fun. So we've talked about the polyphony, the fact that on the piano sound you are accessing this V-piano engine, this modeling engine. As soon as you get out of the acoustic piano area, now you're just into regular, more enhanced sample-based playing, some of which that use Roland SuperNATURAL engines, others which are just straight up sample-based playback. And even there, you've got a huge amount of polyphony. I think it's 384 that you are getting as a maximum polyphony. More or less, you're never going to run out. So if you have seen other reviews where we've reviewed instruments like the DP603, some of these sounds will be familiar, but for those who aren't, I'm going to just give you a sample of some of the EP sounds that it has, some of the string sounds that it has, so you can get an idea about what the 607 offers. So here's Tremolo EP. Then we've got Pop EP. It's a nice sample. I don't know why they call that Pop EP. I wouldn't really associate that, but nonetheless they do. Vintage EP. FM. And then EP. Woo, that got Disney really quick. Like a Wurlitzer thing, that's really overdriven. And phaser. So I mean, this goes on and on and on, but you can tell that there's a great variety of sound, and the quality of the sounds there are all usable at a studio professional level. It doesn't state whether this is using a SuperNATURAL engine to produce the pipe organ sounds in here or not, but it's a pretty convincing pipe organ. And then into Hammond. Yeah, I mean, these are all highly usable, really nice stuff. Yeah. Again, so on and so forth. So you can check other videos out where I go into more in-depth look at the Piano Partner 2 app. I'm not going to do that on here because we've done it several times, but we will be sure to include a link to a very specific spot in a couple of the videos where you can have a look at the Piano Partner 2 app or the Piano Designer app. But that pretty much wraps up a review of the sound. I mean, from a spec standpoint, let's just review again. We've got 3 amplifiers in here, one driving a sub, one driving a pair of mains, and one driving some tweeters. a really nice and a highly effective use of a wood passive resonator in there, kind of acting like a soundboard. It really does produce quite an acoustic effect. You can put your hand on it and really feel the vibration that's going on. And then one of the things that I think they've done the best here is they've really balanced those amplifiers out so that as you're sitting here as a player, you're getting a remarkably even and full tone, whether you're in the top or whether you're in the bottom, and it just feels like that perfect balance of bass and treble and mid, and you really don't have to do much tweaking with this instrument to achieve an ideal sound out of it right out of the box, which is great. Can't always say that about all instruments and all manufacturers, even on some Roland product. There's some models out there where I need to tweak a little bit before I get what I think is the great sound. This guy is just like slammed straight out of the gate, which is awesome. So we're going to put some of those specs up on the screen for you, and then we will be back with a quick discussion about action. Thank you so much for being with us for this peek at Roland's GP607. So this instrument uses the PHA-50 action. This is an action that I'm very familiar with. I play with it on the RD2000 stage piano. It's the same action that you will also find on their GP609 and the LX705, the LX706, some of the HP models, and the DP603. So it's found throughout Roland's lineup in kind of their upper third or upper half of the lineup. It uses a wood core, but it's still, the general configuration is still that of like a graded hammer, balanced hammer action. So the key stick is not a full length key stick, but it is a fairly lengthy key stick, and I'd say the weighting is a little closer to that of an acoustic than their other action, the PHA-4. The thing that I really can speak to with great personal authority is the sheer durability of the PHA-50. As I've mentioned in a few of my other videos, I have just absolutely slaughtered my RD2000 with hours and hours, I mean like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of stage playing with that RD2000. I'm playing it hard, and I haven't had a single sensor fail. I haven't had to have Roland take a look at any one of the, you know, the absorbing material in terms of the bottom of the key bed. Nothing's fallen. I mean, it's just been great. So I would expect that any instrument that uses that action is going to really enjoy a high level of durability if you enjoy the musical connection that you feel through the action. It does feel a little spongier than what I think most people would be used to with a Roland, and I have got that comment that they actually prefer some of the older style Roland actions where the bottom of the key bed feels a little bit more firm and it feels crispier. This is going to respond slightly slower, but the dynamic response of that key is going to be closer to that of an acoustic. Roland puts a nice texture on the white key, nice texture on the black key. It's got escapement for those of you who find that to be a helpful feature. And it also has a triple sensor, which makes these great for MIDI input, or for those who are tackling, you know, more extensive classical repertoire. That's just something that's going to give you a better and more reliable MIDI output. So that's what we've got for the action. We're going to be back for one quick third section where we're going to discuss some of the non-musical features, quick discussion about the cabinet, the patch bay, and some of the other controls that this instrument gives you. So thanks again for being with us. We'll be back in a second. So something I have to commend Roland for on their polished pianos is that they use real polyester with a really high quality spray clear coat over top of it as well. Not all manufacturers do this for some of their high gloss instruments, particularly some of the lower cost ones. It's actually like a foil that they've sprayed like a polyurethane over. This is the real stuff. So this is exactly the same finish that you would find on most other acoustic pianos in terms of a polyester that's been dyed with, you know, white and then, you know, buffed to a really high polish. So this gives you great durability. And generally speaking, Roland's cabinets have always been done at a really high level. I think this is one of the reasons they decided to branch out into benches as well, because I think they know how to make and put together a decent piece of wood and have it last for a while. The patch bay on this gives you a stereo left and a stereo right out, as well as a 3.5mm headphone and a 1/4-inch headphone. It's got USB as well, which you can link to the computer. It also has Bluetooth MIDI and Bluetooth audio. This does not mean it transmits Bluetooth audio, you need to specify that, but you can use this as a Bluetooth speaker. I've tried it, sounds great. And the Bluetooth MIDI, of course, just gives you a wireless connection to any kind of a portable device or your computer where you can send MIDI information back and forth. That Bluetooth wireless connection is also how those other two apps connect between your device and the machine. Besides that, it's got all the standard stuff that you would expect. You can split the keyboard in two. You can layer multiple sounds over the keyboard. It transposes. You've got the metronome. It also has quite a few rhythms and drum sets on it. And like I said, I think it's even easier to access that through the Piano Partner 2 versus using the onboard controls. But people will have their preference. Some people don't want to have their device out there. So this gives you pretty much everything there that you would need. One thing that you can only access through the Piano Partner, as far as I know, is those auto accompaniment features. Otherwise, you can't actually get to the auto accompaniment features through the onboard controls. So if that's something that's important, you're going to want to make sure that you have a device that's relatively up to date, that's is compliant with the latest Bluetooth technology, and is compatible with the Roland app. And to that end, I'm pretty sure, I don't know whether this is resolved, so maybe if there's a Roland rep out there watching one of these videos, they can chime in. The auto accompaniment and anything where it was really, there was kind of a steady stream of audio or MIDI being triggered back and forth, the iOS, the Apple app and Apple products were far more stable for use with that stuff than the Android versions. Maybe this is resolved, and if anyone has any info on that, drop it in the comments. We always like to have people contributing to the most up-to-date and accurate information about the instruments that we are doing. So, we are going to be back again with a comparison between this and the Kawai DG30, because they really are quite a nice matchup, and compare and contrast those two, and that's a video that will be coming within the next week. But in the meantime, we hope you've enjoyed this. Stick around, watch some other videos on the channel, and if you have not had a chance to subscribe yet, we would really appreciate it if you did. Love having people join our community. Love the comments, love the participation, and most of all, it's just nice to know that there's a whole bunch of people out there who love piano. So, we will see you back for more videos in the future. My name is Stu Harrison. This has been Merriam Pianos on YouTube. Have a great day.